President Trump has talked about potentially suspending habeas corpus to take care of the illegal immigration problem. When could we see that happen, do you think?
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at.
Yeah, so there it is. I mean, they're doing it already. By the way, I love that he says we're gonna look into it. They have not been respecting habeas corpus this entire time, in the same way that they haven't been respecting the decisions of judges, the Supreme Court, any of that. When you take people who have been court-ordered to not be able to be deported to a particular country and then you send them there, you do not get to pretend that you gave them due process, thereby like there's no habeas corpus. But whatever, he's at least admitting that they're gonna do it more broadly, that they're looking into it. And he understands that as a Republican, you're supposed to pretend to care about the Constitution, and obviously they don't, but he'd love the fig leaf still. So he says there, the Constitution is very clear, in case of an invasion, you can suspend habeas corpus. So we'll jump into what the Constitution actually says. First of all, it, as I'm sure you know, it comes initially from codification in the Magna Carta, and said, no man shall be arrested or imprisoned except by the lawful judgment of his peers and by the law of the land. But our version of it in the Constitution says, the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. And I'm just realizing now, is that why Donald Trump capitalizes random words because the Constitution does it? Does he think it makes it seem constitutional? But in any event, the only word that really matters there for the purposes of Stephen Miller is it says invasion. So he, like the small-brained person that he is, says, oh, well, I just claim this is an invasion, I can do whatever I want. And that's what they're doing right now. They're implying that because some people have been victims of crime and there are some people whose paperwork is not in order, we've been invaded. I think I could hear the gunfire and the shells landing off in the distance. You know, I don't need to tell people watching everywhere. I've been watching this in every corner of America. You look out your window and there's tanks rolling down the street, right? You've been invaded? Do you feel invaded? I know Stephen Miller is terrified of brown people every day of his life, so he probably does actually feel like we've been invaded. The rest of us are just kind of living our lives. But to put in perspective how ridiculous his invocation of invasion in this case is, let's take a look at prior times when habeas corpus has been suspended in the United States. It's happened 4 times since the Constitution was ratified. So throughout the entire country during the Civil War, that was a rough time, admittedly. In 11 South Carolina counties overrun by the Ku Klux Klan during Reconstruction. I don't think Stephen Miller wants to talk about that one. In 2 provinces of the Philippines during a 1905 insurrection, and in Hawaii after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So the thing about each of those 4 invasions is that they're all invasions. Like there was a military threat, and we can debate, and historians have, whether it was necessary or how it might have been abused in those cases, and certainly it has been. But at least there was a war going on. Them talking about people's cats and dogs being eaten does not a war make, in my mind. What do you think?
The concocted invasion thing is so absurd. It's offensive, but it's really the hook on which they're hanging all of these blatantly illegal moves that they're making. So they have no choice. And it reminds me of when he talked about the caravan in Trump season 1, when he was sending the military at Christmas time to the Mexican border. Remember, he said because those caravan people are coming, there's an invasion. I think he called them wasn't it the caravan, something like that. And so this is the lie that is floated because otherwise, you have to play by the rules, and clearly they're going to play outside the line. So this is, again, it's the only thing that can concoct to perhaps allow them to at least pursue this until I think the courts, all of the courts, push back hard on them.
Yeah, I mean this is utterly pathetic. Even if you accept that they're not doing this on purpose because they utterly despise the Constitution, the constitutional rights that you have, they fundamentally, down to their bone marrow, hate it and want to kill it, which is definitely true of Stephen Miller and Donald Trump, many of the people around him. But let's say that you don't believe that, and they actually are this petrified about the invasion. I want you to just think briefly of all of the things we've gotten through as a country without needing. to suspend habeas corpus. I mean, we got through world wars, the Cold War, international terrorism, terror cells pop. We got through all of that. But there's some Guatemalans. That dude's from El Salvador. Oh well, you don't have any rights anymore. I mean, that is, like, if you accept their cover story, that is deeply pathetic. And so I kind of buy it. That might actually be why Stephen Miller is doing it. But on the other hand, it could just be that the fascists are gonna fascist. And I just wanna say, like, you know, there was the debate during the election about, is it fair to call them that or whatever? And people can debate definitions of fascism. There are different constructs for how you label it or whatever. But like, I don't know, I don't feel like I was being hyperbolic. I feel less like that every day, more that they are the movement we said they were, that these people are the goons that we said they were. I feel vindicated.
Well,
it's small comfort, by the way.
No, right. But they see the Constitution as an impediment to their agenda, and so that's why they're grabbing these things like that really reflect the authoritarian rise that this crew has. Right? They want to do this, and it's fascistic, it's authoritarian, however you want to call it. It's a flex. And they don't want anything to get in the way of that flex. They want to get rid of these people, and if we need to grab this excuse about an invasion, well, then that's the way we'll get around this thing, which is an obstacle to our agenda, and that thing is the Constitution.
Yeah, and I don't want to do like the knee-jerk thing of automatically slippery slope in this or whatever. What they're doing right now is by far bad enough. That's why we talk about it so much on this show, on the network. But like the idea that Stephen Miller will be satisfied to just end due process for migrants or whatever, for undocumented migrants. Like, come on, who thinks that? You don't think they'll expand that to other migrants? I mean, they are literally already taking permanent residents and shipping them out. Why am I talking hypothetically about things that exist in the past tense? Or for student protesters. I mean, they've said such terrible things. Their signs are very, very scary to me. And there's so many of them. What are we gonna have a trial for every one of them? For people who commit a variety of different types of thought crime. You just think carefully. You wanna protest against police brutality or genocide or that sort of thing. You think they're gonna be suddenly cool with that again? They're gonna rediscover their love for the First Amendment? When they strip away rights, they get very comfortable. Historically, regimes get very comfortable with you not having those rights anymore. So as bad as things are right now, and they're bad enough for everyone to be as freaked out as they should be, if not more, or as they are, if not more, it can still get a lot darker, I think.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.